Welcome one, welcome all to Pit Road Productions. It's time for round 6 of the Podium 1 Fixed GT3 Series. We are at the legendary Daytona International Speedway for the middle of the season here. It's going to be a fun time. Plenty of cars back on the grid for this round, 40 to be exact, and it's going to be an absolute slipstream fest, I'm sure. We'll have to wait and see who comes out on top with a very tight championship battle to contend with as well. Bringing it to you live is myself, Reese Gardner. Daniel Zippy Salmon is alongside me in the commentary box. Zippy, I've been looking forward to Daytona. It's a classic track for GT3 racing. I'm sure that we'll be thoroughly entertained tonight.
Oh, absolutely, Reese. It's great to see another Princess-approved track list here. And certainly myself, rode Atlanta last week, an absolute belter. Daytona this week, another belter. And then we're off to VIR for round 7. It's going to be an absolute treat of racing here in the Podium GT3 Fixed Series. But Reese, I got to say, I'm excited about it. Certainly Daytona. Driven it myself many times in 24. Used to do a charity fundraiser 4 years running, ladies and gentlemen. I did that fundraiser for Cancer Research Institute. Absolute belter. And I wish I got to do it this year again as well. But certainly these guys have got a little bit of another thing going on the line. They're going to have championship points. We're going to get to that in just a few short moments. Ladies and gentlemen, Reese, tell the people where indeed we've been and where we're going.
Well, we started off at Road America, Laguna Seca, round 2, a massive round that one. Mexico City, Sonoma, and Road Atlanta were the first half of the season, and it was quite the entertaining race at Road Atlanta. Moving through to round 6, we're here at Daytona. We go to VIR next week on the 10th of November, rounding things out with Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, then Indianapolis and Sebring to finish the season in December. Once again, it's the full roster of North American road courses. Sports car racing courses, to be precise, with a little trip outside the United States here and there to Mexico and to Canada as well. But of course, we are here in Daytona Beach, Florida, with the brutal curbs of the Le Mans chicane on full display here. In the middle of qualifying at the moment for the GT3 Series. Let's go on board with a lap here at Daytona, Zippy. Turn 1 is quite the difficult corner to line up here. I always seem to mess it up no matter what I do, but looks like the line is put through there pretty nicely, flat out through turns 2 and 3, then down to the International Horseshoe, which is going to be one of the prime overtaking opportunities around here. You can see that Daytona is one of the tracks that has had 3D curbs implemented for the time being. The infield has a completely flat elevation, but I tell you what, those cars are going to be squirming through that left-hand kink, and that looks like a bit of an overshoot of the second horseshoe, so the BMW will find its way back to the pits, evidently. I think we might have to wait for the second half of the lap from someone else.
Yeah, we'll try and pick up the lap with Cairo Ends in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see him there making his way through the pit stop. That looked like it hurt. 2-car carnage here in qualifying, but thankfully Cairo was able to emerge from that. He's currently there in P8 overall, P5 in class, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, currently got Reed Lincoln in P4 overall. As I say that, Joshua Wilford has moved his way up into 3rd place. We are going to try and get an onboard lap with you. At least we're going to do our very best efforts to. As I say that, Cairo brings it down pit lane. Can we find any driver here who's about to start a flying lap? Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Zinn.
Yes, indeed. All right, Brian Zinn just starting his lap here before the session officially ends in the Aston Martin. All the way through this first sector here. The track actually widens up quite a bit from turn 2 to turn 3 there. He's going to go for a slide, and I wonder if this is going to be lap abandoned from Brian Zinn. I mean, even if he doesn't finish the lap, Daytona is a pretty simple circuit from the air, and it gets very difficult here at this corner here. It tightens up in the middle, and you got to try and straight line the exit. Running over the curb, it's very easy to hit the grass. Brake as late as you dare for this tight left-hander, because this is what leads you onto the oval. You need to nail the exit for sure. Sometimes it's better to give up pace on the way in. But he is now on to the NASCAR oval. Next up, Zippy, is the bus stop chicane, officially called Le Mans now, but as I mentioned just before, the curbs are incredibly brutal here, and it's hard to pick your braking point.
Yeah, myself, I've always aimed there's like a little yellow pylon thing just between the 2 and the 1 markers there, but I've always found that I've never been the most consistent. Certainly, yeah, the revamp, I believe this track was revamped, did change a couple of things, or maybe I'm getting confused with Charlotte. Probably getting confused with Charlotte, but definitely myself, a very familiar circuit is Daytona, and I honestly didn't know if you know this, Reese, it's actually the first track I ever drove in the original AMG GT3, and I have to say, thank a guy called Shane Hunter for that, who I used to work with. If it wasn't for him, guys, you'd have never had to put up with me in a race lobby or indeed in a broadcast booth. But ladies and gentlemen, Brian Zinn brings it across the line, and that is indeed our guided lap.
Yes, for sure. Exit of the chicane is incredibly important around here. You carry that momentum all the way through NASCAR 3 and 4, and then onto the start-finish stretch. Good thing we're going for a rolling start here today, because if there was a standing start, they would be starting on the banking. And trust me, I've seen hosted races at Daytona with a standing start. It's not pretty. You literally slide down the banking as soon as you put the power down. But a little bit more of a look at the Le Mans chicane as qualifying ends. You see how high those curbstones are, how much of a sawtooth pattern they have. You certainly want to avoid hitting them, as well as the anti-cut stones behind the curb as well. The line through that chicane has changed quite a bit over the years. It used to be a lot flatter, more sort of yellow ripple strips, which were very wide through that chicane. But things have changed, as you mentioned, in recent seasons. Lap on board with the Mustang here, you can really see how much the suspension is working through this section. And just like that, it looks like the end of qualifying. So we have our grid decided, but before we go through any of that, I think the championship standings are worth taking a look at, because you mentioned before we went live, there is a 3-way tie for the championship lead in gold. Dalton Oxborough, Hunter McCall, and Joshua Wilford all on 232 points to start off the second half of the season. It's basically a reset for the top 3. Artis Veldra trailing 215 points. Miguel Colon rounding out your top 5. Recently taking victory at Road Atlanta was Miguel, so his championship standing has certainly benefited from that. Let's flick on over to the silver championship standings. Meanwhile, Charles Ayres is the one leading the way by quite a clear margin over Pierce Fox and Ben Millick. Things looking a little bit closer between them, as well as Jamil Gummer and Reed Lincoln, who round out the top 5. But Charles Ayres has quite the pace advantage over everyone else in silver, and tends to be finishing amongst the gold guys at the top of the standings. And in bronze, Jack Minter, he was dominant in the first half of the season, but he's had a poor run of luck recently. The likes of Tommy Polte and CJ Conklin are catching up to him. Dustin Warren and Philip Crane, only 3 points between them to round out the top 5. Crane will have to keep an eye out for Andrew Garov as well, because only 4 points separate them. And this is certainly going to be an interesting one, isn't it, Zippy? I think that 3-way tie for the championship in gold is going to have some pretty major ramifications going forward.
Oh, it's definitely not what I expected when I signed in to get ready for the show earlier on, Reese. And I gotta say, it's an absolute belter. Don't get me wrong. Occasionally we do see it where somebody runs away with it and just, they, think of DJ Alessandrini, for example. He just shows up and wins. But we've seen Wilford be dominant, and we've seen Artis Velder be dominant. But it's great to see that these guys are all different levels. They've got gold, we've got silver, and we've got bronze. And everybody has fights, not just for the lead, but in the mid-pack as well. It looked like Doug Sorrentino was getting into it as gold as well. Fantastic stuff. But you know what, Reese? We couldn't do any of this without a little help from the sponsors.
Yes, indeed. At VPG Sim, they don't just build equipment. They translate years of motorsport expertise from BF1 systems directly into your hands. Their products are engineered using knowledge driven by professional drivers, the ones who push the limits. It's about that weight, that feedback, that raw, uncompromising connection to the machine. It's from track to sim. VPG are bringing the authentic race feel home. Crafted in Wisconsin, Carbliss offers a line of premium canned cocktails designed for drinkers who refuse to compromise on flavor or fitness goals. These ready-to-drink options featuring vodka, rum, and tequila bases for classic drinks like margaritas and mojitos are built on a simple promise: bold flavor with zero compromises. Every 12-ounce can is 0 sugar, 0 carbs, gluten-free, and just 100 calories. Ferme Serpollet, owned by league racer Simon Cartier and his brothers Martin and Serge, made a strategic shift to exclusively breeding purebred Holstein cattle. This decision was aimed at improving the genetics of their then 60-head Serpollet herd, and the strategy has proven highly successful and continues to yield excellent results for their young herd today.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot forget the title sponsor indeed. It's going to be Podium One. They are a Nashville, Tennessee-based builder of turnkey racing and flight simulator systems. They offer premium, ready-to-use rigs that integrate high-end components such as Fanatec, Azetec, and cubic motion systems to meet the needs of serious racers and professional training environments. Ladies and gentlemen, some absolutely beautiful bits of equipment. Honestly, check out their website, check out the gear. Certainly CJ, we can very happily say that CJ Conklin does officially work for Podium One now. Congratulations to you, sir. Couldn't have picked a better man to head over there. Certainly he's been an absolute pioneer for this series, and not just that, a sim racing enthusiast to boot. Ladies and gentlemen, that's something that you cannot teach, you cannot train. It is enthusiasm and passion. CJ, it's great to see that we've got you over on board. Not only that, these guys don't just drive on the sim, they're pretty keen drivers in real life as well. I do understand they have a couple of radical SR3s, which certainly tingles my heartstrings, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, so yeah, these guys not just know how to set up a sim rig, they know how to drive as well.
That they do. Plenty of skilled drivers taking part in the Podium One Fixed GT3 Series here. Just a few seconds remaining in warm-up, and then we'll be able to see where they're starting for today's race. It's going to be, once again, a 40-minute affair here with a pit stop required at some point along the line. Fuel saving is going to be incredibly important. The slipstream will be helpful with that, so you might see some strategy shenanigans going on in this particular event. We'll have to wait and see who employs that, who falls by the wayside, because if you lose the draft at Daytona, you are basically done. Well, warm-up is over, and here we are for the grid. Miguel Colon has pole position, and Doug Sorrentino, recently getting into the habit of actually qualifying the car, starts on the front row with him. Joshua Wilford and Artis Veldra will be 3rd and 4th, with Reed Lincoln and Dalton Oxborough on 5th and 6th. Reed Lincoln with pole in silver. Brian Zinn alongside Dustin Warren, who's gotten pole in bronze, up to 8th place. That's, I think, the first time we've seen a bronze car starting in the top 10, with Amrit Vestrala, Matt Hollinger, Cairo Owens, and James Matney rounding out your top 12.
Definitely a huge shake-up there in the qualifying standings as Chris Crone takes P13 with Chris Bracetti alongside in 14th. Jack Minter still doing pretty good for the bronze. He's there in 15th with Pierce Box alongside in 16th. Jamil Gummer is going to be there in 17th with Kerry Corker, and he's one of the camera drivers tonight, ladies and gentlemen. He's there in 18th with Quinn Manders in 19th and Kevin Rosario in 20th. Darwin Hansen, who takes 21st with Tommy Polte there. He's also a camera driver, ladies and gentlemen, in 22nd with Michael Pacheco, 23rd. And another person on the cameras tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it's Jason Hatcher in 24th.
In 25th, it's going to be Morgan Smith. Good to see Mo back in it. Cody Haygood going to start alongside him. CJ Conklin, our administrator, in 27th alongside Scott Laurenti, with Philip Crane and Callan Christian rounding out your top 30. Then Brent Souza and Andrew Garov on row number 16. Simon Cartier and Joshua Travis on the next row. Richard Pettit and Drew Martin rounding out your top 36 places. Then we have Phillips starting out of 37th alongside Robert Bison, Stephen Lauder, Chris Scheusler, and Michael Clark are your 41 cars getting ready to take to the start of this race right now. Rolling start behind the pace car and a reasonably long run to turn 1. Going to be interesting to see when Miguel Colon decides to jet away here at the front of this field, because you don't necessarily have to go on the green flag. You could go a little earlier if you want to, if there's a surprise in store for everyone else behind you. We will have to wait and see, but there's pit entry ahead of them, and pit entry, as we saw in warm-up, is going to be one of the most important aspects of today's race. You need to nail pit entry at Daytona. It's very easy to overcook it into that entry as the green flag flies and Miguel Colon is away at the front of the field. Joshua Wilford gets the jump on Doug Sorrentino and into turn 1 for the first time. Sorrentino will fall to third, but I'm sure there's going to be more to think about here for Doug Sorrentino. He's looking very competitive today. Side by side, further back in the top 10, Cairo Ends going side by side there. It's looking like actually a really clean start from everybody. I haven't seen any dramas in the field through turn 1, but turn 3 might be another matter here. We've got a couple of cars slow, and it looks like one of them was a pink car. I hope it's not Sorrentino.
Well, I have a feeling Cairo Ends may have got caught up in that, but yeah, he's currently down 10 positions, but still running. Ladies and gentlemen, not the race start he was looking for. You see the McLaren going a little bit deep there. Ends absolutely sneaking it up on the inside, but it's fair to say he's managed to get away a bit side by side with the BMW. He continues to try and make a recovery here. He was down 10 positions. He's now down 8, gets 2 positions down in one corner. Right now, though, Chris Krohn, he's up 5 positions. Jack Minter, he's up 6. He's made it into the top 10, doing fantastically for bronze. What happened, though, to the bronze driver who qualified in that front pack? Dustin Warren, he's currently down 25 positions and missing a rear wing.
Yeah, there's been some big drama for Dustin Warren there, and he's going to have to be very careful on entry to the Le Mans chicane. It's where you need stability in the rear, a high-speed entry to this chicane. Hopefully he's aware and he can mitigate that somehow as they tip their way into the chicane for the first time. Warren is so slow, but there's an Aston ahead of him that's had some issues there. I think that's, oh dear, that's Jamil Gummer in the 36 that's gone off there at the chicane, and he's going to lose out massively, unfortunately.
Yeah, that does look like he's maybe got a little bit of damage. Oh yeah. A little bit is an understatement. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to take a quick look at some replays in a few short moments. But in the meantime, Dustin Warren, I can tell you, has come down pit road. Let's check in very quickly with the leaders here as we see Miguel Colon, Joshua Wilford, and indeed Doug Sorrentino are still trying to pull away as a pack, but Ardis Belgium very much in pursuit as well before you get to Reed Lincoln, who's currently in P5 overall, and very much get Dalton Oxford applying the pressure behind in P6.
Yes, indeed. Got Amrit Vestrala there and the gold Mercedes as well. A few very competitive drivers here. Oxborough not quite getting out of that turn as quickly as he'd like. A little bit delayed on the throttle as he went slightly wide of the apex, but he's still close enough to Reed Lincoln to pick up the slipstream on the way out of the infield. But look at that breakaway from the top 4. I think that's almost campaign done for those wanting to get into that top 4. They're going to have to rely on working together and working the pit strategy to have something to play for here. Cairo Ends, meanwhile, up the inside of Quinn Manders, coming onto the oval and not trying to move up the circuit, but Manders is still there and they're making contact down the straight as well. Ends maybe getting a little too close for comfort as he dives up the inside into the Le Mans chicane. Quinn Manders has no choice but to yield. That's Dalton Oxborough. Oxborough from the top, from the top 5 battle there, has gone off at the Le Mans chicane. I have no idea how that's happened. I think that's one more to add to your roster of replays, Zippy.
Well, ask and you shall receive. Reese, take it away.
Well, through the chicane he comes, and he caught the curb at the 3rd apex there. Induced some oversteer. The traction control would have kicked in by that point. Would have been nothing he could do to address that, excuse me, that slide. Jamil Gummer, it would appear, doing the exact same thing.
Now let's have a look, see what happened to Jason Hatcher here at the start. You can see him there. He's looking to try and go around the outside in that Porsche, I believe. Goes right on the edge and yeah, he stopped to avoid. I believe that's Cairo Ends. So fair play to him. Good job there by Jason. I'd say he avoided that incident. Fair play to him, sir. Let's find out what happened to indeed Brian Zinn and Cairo Ends.
Yes, okay, so Brian Zinn in the Aston Martin here. Oh, that's Vestrala going up the inside and tipping him around. So it was Zinn that was the Aston stricken in the middle of the turn there. And yeah, fantastic incident avoidance there from the Porsche. I'm really hoping that they can recover somewhat from that. We'll check in with the battle for the top 6 now. Kerry Corcoran is 6th in silver, I should say. Under pressure from Darwin Hansen and trying his best to catch up to Chris Brissetti there. Brissetti hitting that curb and going for a slide on the exit of the chicane. That is a freebie for Kerry Corcoran. It would appear that the third apex of the bus stop is something the drivers need to watch out for.
Yeah, definitely that curve can get a little bit interesting, but it looks like we're going to have a little bit more action here at the front of the field as Joshua Wilford trying to apply a little bit of pressure there to Miguel Colon. Doug Sorrentino is right there in with him. He's right in there with him as well, as it looks like Artis Veldra is going to be the chief camera car in that BMW. He's there, he's hot on the brakes, he's applying a good amount of pressure to the back of that Porsche, gets a little bit of contact, a little bit of a wiggle there, but thankfully still able to stay in the draft. Wilford's teammate Dalton Oxborough maybe man down for now in that BMW, but certainly Wilford is indeed going to carry the torch ahead of championship rivals.
If that hadn't been forgotten now, Joe. Well, let's see if Joshua Wilford can get that pressure up on Miguel Colon. Let's see then.
I can't drink my tea, I'm spilling it laughing.
The exit of the infield is incredibly important here. Wilford with a great exit, actually, in the Aston. He will pick up the slipstream here from Miguel Colon, and he'll carry that momentum. Let's see if the momentum is worth it there, especially for Darwin Hansen here, who's still rounding out 12th overall and has made up 9 positions in the race so far. If you're interested in hard charges, I would nominate the number 6 in 24th position, up 17 positions at the moment for Michael Clark in the Lamborghini. So he's having a grand old time at the moment, but it's on here for Joshua Travis and for the recovering Jason Hatcher, who finds himself down in 28th after having to come to a stop midway through turn 3 on lap 1.
Yeah, I gotta say, Jason looking cool, calm, and collected there, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely just blitzed away from the Porsche of Joshua Travis there, but looks like Oxborough is still indeed getting into some battles. This time it is with Simon Carter, ladies and gentlemen, the Aston Martin, the Canadian driver there, applying a good amount of pressure. Let's have a quick check-in here with Morgan Smith now. He honestly snuck into there, and it looks like that's exactly what I'd expect Morgan to do. He's bump drafting, ladies and gentlemen, using the WM livery as an expendable asset here, ladies and gentlemen, as he tries to make a move on the outside. I thought he was going to run deep then. Oh! No! That was close. Dodge.
That's Joshua Travis, I believe, that's gone around there in the Porsche. And
I believe so.
That will be an unfortunate fall down the order there for him. It looks to me like Morgan Smith has managed to get free of that fight for the moment, back into the top 29, down 4 positions from where he started. Meanwhile, it would appear that things are starting to heat up here for Chris Brissetti. Up the inside of Darwin Hansen on the way out of the infield, and he's followed closely by Kevin Rosario, Michael Pacheco, and Quinn Manders. That is not a healthy-looking Mercedes there for Darwin Hansen. I'm not sure where he lost that, but that will definitely affect the straight-line speed of his Mercedes. He picks up the anti-cut curb there on the way through the bus stop. Oh, dear. Yeah. You know, in years past, success through that section of the circuit was defined by how much curb you could use in the bus stop. That is not the case anymore. You have to avoid those curbs.
Yeah, certainly that Mercedes is definitely a little bit cosmetically challenged here. I think he's going to choose, understandably so, choose the early pit lane for that, ladies and gentlemen. I can't say I fault him in the slightest, but it looks like we have a huge gaggle of cars. Kevin Rosario at the front of that right now. He's got Michael Pacheco right behind. Quinn Manders getting into the action. Quinn Manders, ladies and gentlemen, with the cheerleading section of Eric Powell. Did I just see a car on the wall there, or was that just me?
Yeah, it looks like Matney has unfortunately come a cropper in the 00. So James Matney here in the Merc. I believe the OnlyFans livery. And that is Yeah, dearie me, that is not ideal. Little bit of a traction loss there out of turn 1. It's a difficult corner to get right. You can carry more speed through turn 1 than you expect, but it's also a lot sharper than you think right in the middle. Well, Michael Pacheco running wide there as Kevin Rosario continues piling on the pressure for 13th place.
I do have to wonder if Matney maybe had like a little bit of, I don't know, fluid or something on the wheel, an extra, you know, they didn't clean off any substance off the wheel, you know, just judging by the paint, Reese. I mean, I can only speculate at this point, but, you know.
Well then, Pacheco unable to take advantage into the bus stop there, but if he nails the exit, he'll be able to line something up nicely. Quinn Manders seeing looks like that might be a lapped car behind them there. Is that Jamil Gummer, who's re-emerged out of pit lane just behind these guys? I believe so. He has fallen a lap down as a result of that, which is a real shame. But at the very least, fast repair available in this series, so you are able to recover from a crash if you suffer one. Just got to make sure to keep it clean for the rest of the race there, as Pacheco gets the position right back there. Both Rosario and Manders, it appears, falling by the wayside in turn 1, and Gummer is going to take advantage as well. He may be a lapped car, but he's certainly got the pace to run ahead of these guys.
Yeah, he's definitely a potent driver. It looks like Quinn Manders almost like, you know, get out of the way. But fair play, Jamil Gummer got 2, if not 3 positions in one corner. So fair play to him. He is getting on with it. But, you know, you got to wonder as well with a scenario like this, despite the fact he's a lap down, I don't know if he's necessarily out of the action yet, as I believe something's happened with Sean Phillips and Stephen Loader as well.
Right, so Sean Phillips and the Ferrari tipping it in, and this is another corner where it's very easy to lose the rear end, and unsurprisingly the Ferrari goes around there. It's another sharp corner that requires confidence on the throttle, but if you get on the power too quickly, then there's big problems. Stephen Lauder, meanwhile, that's at the first apex of the bus stop, and man, that is a huge impact. Unclear if he is able, actually he has been able to make it back to the pits under his own power. Pacheco going all over the curbs at the chicane, and that will be Kevin Rosario and Christian there in the number 60 finding their way through. Cal and Christian with the best view of all of that, I'd imagine, and it looks to me like Quinn Manders has taken advantage too. All it takes is 1 foot wrong in that chicane and you're basically on the back foot and having to work your way forward again. The battle for the lead has really heated up as well. It would appear that Miguel Colon has fallen to 3rd. Doug Sorrentino has taken the lead of the race, and Sorrentino is looking at like the fastest of them all right now.
Yeah, it's good to see Sorrentino actually out in front. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it when he tries to charge through the field, and he does a very respectable job in doing so. But right now, he's got his hands full with Joshua Wilford right behind him. Miguel Colon still very much in pursuit. It's Veldra. He's dropped back about 1.3, 1.4 seconds, but scoring some points here with the commentator. Because he's got bronze wheels, ladies and gentlemen, I will not hide that in a million years. But it does look like Cairo Enns and Kerry Corcoran are getting a battle on as well. You can see these guys, both of them camera drivers as well. Let me try some funky stuff here, Reese. Just bear with me. You call the action here. I got an idea.
All right.
No.
Dear, that's around there. Yeah, not ideal for Cairo Enns. He has gone around at a very inconvenient spot, but ends up getting it turned around, so good stuff. He'll be able to keep going, but yeah, unfortunately he's fallen. It looks like going to be outside the top 20 now. That's far from ideal. So now the battle for the top 15. Michael Pacheco trying to recover and catch back up to Cal and Christian and Kevin Rosario. Brett Souza sees an opportunity, manages to nail the curbs coming out of the bus stop. He will have the drafting pair of Enns and actually is that, no, that's Brian Zinn in the Aston Martin with Chris Brassetti just ahead of him as well. No, Tommy Polte. My timing's starting to get a little weird with all these cars out on track, but that'll be fine. Position taken for Brian Zinn coming into the turn. I don't need another timing page, it's all good.
Oh, okay. I was going to give you a nice one that would highlight the classes and everything for you, Reese, but no worries, sir. You use whatever you please. You've certainly been doing it for a long enough time, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, you can see here, this battle is indeed starting to heighten up. Brian's in there looking to try and get through. He is a gold class driver, if my memory serves me correctly, and certainly he's kind of a little bit held up right now. The next clear of his competition payment is Chris Crone, who's all the way up in P9. Zin down 9 positions from the start. Had a little bit of that tank slapper going through the... was it the International Horseshoe, I believe you call it? And
yes.
We've also got a request here from Eric Peril. Let's get a shout out for Quinn Manders' father, Bill Manders, who is also tuning in from Wisconsin. Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, Bill Manders in the tune in there. Here you go, sir, as you requested. Quinn Manders currently in P12, P5 in class, and trying to run away from Kevin Rosario.
Yeah, but the Mustang is still close enough to get the slipstream coming down the speedway back straight. Pick your braking point and dive into the Le Mans chicane. Quinn is having a good time at the moment, up 7 places. So is Rosario. So these two in the short term having a good time. Amrit Vestrala, meanwhile, looking to make his way past Reed Lincoln to get into the overall top 5. And we have Jack Minter, the leader of bronze, right behind them as well. So both our bronze and silver leaders in the frame at the moment there. And looking at the gaps there, Matt Hollinger not too far behind Reed Lincoln, so he might have to get a little bit of a hurry up and try and get some insurance for when he comes into the pit lane. Hollinger is looking rather quick in the Porsche at the moment, but can he pick up some slipstream from the cars ahead? That would really help him.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly you can see here Chris Rossetti, the Puerto Rican driver, is trying to make his way into the top 10. Kerry Corcoran, Kerry's really been in his stride the last couple of races, Reese. I'm not sure if you picked up on it as well, but certainly he's moved himself from the tail end of the pack. Certainly he's much higher up. He's not even mid-pack. He's now in the top 10, ladies and gentlemen. So fair play to him. He's having an absolutely fantastic scenario, as I do believe something else happened to Jamil Gummer. And indeed, James Matney as well, the OnlyFans car, may have indeed been involved in an incident. But right now, we're going to check back in here with Amrit Vestrala, as it looks like Reed Lincoln looking to fight back.
Oh, Lincoln having to tap the brakes there. Got a lot of momentum in a straight line with the slipstream, and unfortunately pushing a bit too deep into the bus stop in the short term there, but seems that he's managed to nail the exit. I've never been able to figure out the optimum line through that chicane. It's always been my weakest area of this track, but Lincoln has the slipstream now on Amrit Vestrala, wondering why he isn't bump drafting. It would be good for these two to work together. They'd be able to catch up to Artis Veldra, who is now about 5.5 seconds ahead of them. But for the moment, they will keep it nice and tidy here in the fight for the top 5. And as things stand, Artis Veldra and Reed Lincoln are the only cars in the field that still occupy the same position they started in. This man, Miguel Colon, starting on pole, but falling down to 3rd. Not the end of the world, though. He is still with Sorrentino and Wilford, and as long as he stays close through the pit cycle, he might be able to throw a surprise in the dying laps. Daytona is one of those tracks where I think you want to leave the move as late as possible. Preferably on the last lap, because then that eliminates the chance for your rivals to fight back.
Yeah, honestly, I think Miguel has almost intentionally dropped back into 3rd place, ladies and gentlemen. I have a feeling he's thinking about the long game. He's thinking about the fuel. Eric, you keep making me laugh, but he starts the way. Attaboy. But I honestly think Miguel is playing the long game. I think he's tucking in behind Joshua Wilford, and oh yeah, I think there's definitely a bit of fuel saving going on. Look how much momentum he was able to carry into there. I think he's just out for a cruise at this point, trying to save some fuel, short shifting the car where he can. Yeah, I think he's pretty much just, riding the tail feathers there, the 2 drivers ahead of him. Sorrentino has not been able to break the draft. He's going to be paying very heavily for leading this race when it comes to the pit stops.
Speaking of pit stops, we should be getting close to them pretty soon. We're about to reach the halfway point of this race. It's absolutely flown by. I'm genuinely surprised that we are now past half time, or just about 30 seconds away from it. So now is the time where drivers will be thinking about visits to pit lane. We've already had a few pit stops from drivers further down in the field, but that's mostly due to damage and the like, as Jack Minter now has not many people for company. Matt Hollinger finding his way past him there. Hollinger continuing his charge, finding his way past, I think, maybe at turn 1. Simon Carter, meanwhile, from Canada, one of the men behind Ferme Serpollet, one of our sponsors here. So let's see if there's anything he can play for here, running in 33rd position. Callan Christian putting the pressure on. And it seems like a good exit from the bus stop here for the Mustang. He's going to immediately pull out there, and Simon will have nothing to fight back with, apart from maybe the inside line into turn 1. But that's some great momentum from Callan Christian. A bit of contact on their way down to the tri-oval here, past the NASCAR restart zone. And a bit more momentum from the Aston as they get on the brakes. It might seem like you're losing out halfway down that stretch, but if you have the momentum, you can keep it into turn 1. Oh, to the grass for Callan Christian, and he'll go defensive again versus Simon Cartier, who catches the grass and spins it there with a bit of contact. That's far from ideal. That might be something the stewards will look at later. Who knows at this point, but man, very active racing here for the moment.
Well, I gotta say, we're gonna have Eric Powell back for another couple of shows, because he absolutely keeps getting the better of me there, and it looks like himself and Jake Kent are having an absolute hoot. You know, absolutely making me break during stream, and I get it. I enjoy watching Twitch streamers and seeing if I can make them burst out laughing during the race. But let's rejoin the battle here, because currently Reed Lincoln is indeed leading the silver class. He's got Matt Hollinger less than a second behind him. You can see he's there in this pack now. Hollinger's going to be keen to try and make his way up there, but he's got Pastrana in the middle now. And with Pastrana, he's been very much at the top of the pack for a good portion of the season. Not quite able to get on the podium, but always generally pretty consistent, pretty high up in the field. I don't think he's about to move over and give way here for outright position. I think if anything, he's going to be keen to try and maybe work with Reed Lincoln ahead and try and pull them away from the rest of the pack.
Yes, indeed. All right. Let's see if they can hold on to this one. Vestrala with not much momentum there, and Hollinger will duly move through to the 6th overall position. There was a significant development for the race lead battle a lap or two ago. Joshua Wilford really clobbered the curbs at the bus stop, and he lost all momentum coming around oval 3 and 4. So he's dropped off the back of Miguel Colon at the moment, and now there's more than a second between Colon and Sorrentino. So things have really spaced out for the top 3 at the moment. Sorrentino getting the fastest lap of the race once again, bringing it down to a 144.3, as surely he will be pitting very soon. The fuel levels will be very light in these cars. It's given Artis Veldra a chance to get onto the overall podium, especially with some lap traffic in the midst of it. The Mustang does give a good amount of space to our leaders here, but Veldra sniffing a chance at P3.
Yeah, certainly Veldra will be keen to get back out there. I mean, he was the champion last season, ladies and gentlemen, and not only that, he did it in a Lamborghini, which, let's be real, sounds beautiful, but it's kind of like dating a stripper, ladies and gentlemen. It seems like fun and games, but realistically, you know you're going to end up getting hurt. And you see there, Wilford, very, very keen. Lap car, really not too sure how to get out of the way there. Top tip, be predictable. Stay on your line and do not lift in the middle of a corner, ladies and gentlemen. That would be my best recommendation for you. Get to like a section like this here, the bank section, and then just basically take the high line and lift off a little bit there. As I could have sworn I'd just seen a puff of smoke. I think something happened to the McLaren of Michael Pacheco.
So this is coming into turn 3. Did he lose the rear getting on the power? Looks like he did. And the traction control did not help him much there. It's one of those corners where you need to straighten out as quickly as possible. Otherwise, it just overwhelms the grip of the rear. So Wilford and Veldra are the closest battle up the front of the field at the moment. We are now at 9 laps to go, 15 minutes and 30 seconds remaining on the clock, and still we've had none of our front runners make their way into the pit lane. recent developments include Reed Lincoln and Tucker Minter making their way through pit lane, and looks like they both had a very long time in the pits comparatively. I don't expect pit stops to take any more than about 20 seconds for these guys. They both spent more than a minute in their box. There's some developments in the battle for the top 5. Hollinger, Estrella, and Krone are all in as Reed Lincoln gets crossed up over the curbs. Certainly not the first driver to do that, and he won't be the last either. But now the pit stops are starting to happen up the front here. Here comes Andrew Garov into pit lane.
Yeah, you can see the pit lane is an absolutely furious place of chaos right now, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely busy, potent, and indeed multiple people in down pit road. Fair play to him. I'm having a quick look, actually. So Jack Minter has indeed pit as well. It does look to me like Morgan Smith pit, but I'm not sure if he started from the pits. No, he couldn't have done. Showing he's up 18 positions, but his pit lane time 0.22 of a second. So maybe you got something better on your end there.
Yeah, nah, he hasn't pitted. He definitely hasn't pitted. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in the top 7 at the moment, surely. Well, yeah, I mean, it's not showing up as having a stop on my timing either. So that's a bit of a mystery for Morgan Smith there. We'll have to wait and see if there's anything else to be gleaned from that BMW. Cairo ends, working his way back up to P8. And we'll be keeping our eye out for when he decides to come into the pits. Obviously, he's decided to extend that stint as much as he can, but our leaders are in. It looks like they have reached the limit of their fuel tanks for the moment. Doug Sorrentino on course for a potential win here today, but needs to nail the pit stop. And we need to keep an eye out for speeding in pits penalties as well. It doesn't look like there's any of them for anyone in the pits right now, but fuel going in. Got to keep those tires on. Sorrentino is going to win the race out of pit lane. A stop of about 12 seconds in length. Miguel Colon, 13.4 seconds. Joshua Wilford, 13.6. And Artis Veldra, 12.9. He's really caught up to Wilford there. Now they stay on the pit limiter here until they reach those green cones, and then they can get back to full racing speed. Got to try and nail that particular aspect of things. If you want a good run through the lane, Hollinger starting to get a bit leery here in the battle for P7. He's got Chris Krone ahead, and it looks like Hollinger has unfortunately lost that momentum in the middle of turn 1. So that battle is going to lay dormant for a while, but now it is really on for third. Veldra and Wilford will be racing to the end.
Oh, there we go. We can indeed confirm Morgan Smith making his way through the pits, ladies and gentlemen. We weren't sure. I had something on my timing screen as well as Michael Clark. He's been a hard charge before, ladies and gentlemen, and that beautiful Lamborghini. And indeed, I think the only Lamborghini in the field. He's currently going toe-to-toe here with Dustin Warren, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if I remember rightly, Dustin Warren did indeed start up in the top 10. The bronze-rated driver appears to be driving to a much higher standard today. Michael Clark up 20 positions behind him. Maybe we have Doug Sorrentino's reincarnated Lamborghini, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe that is indeed the approach for Michael Clark. Has incredible race pace, but right now Dustin Warren looking to try and recover up into P8, which is where he would have started.
All right, well, let's see if there's any further recovery to be made there. Michael Clark now in the midst of the fight with Dustin Warren. Morgan Smith jetting away ahead. A little bit of a snap from the Lamborghini as the power was applied. Weight transfer is so important to manage here at Daytona. What's happened?
Wilford has got a yellow flag, ladies and gentlemen.
What does that mean?
I'm going to say that he has probably gone and cut the bus stop and has to... Yep, he's cleared it.
A slowdown. I see. So, yeah, Wilford, evidently, as far as drivers from the top of the field go, the one who's been playing with the limits of that chicane the most. Quinn Manders, meanwhile, under pressure from Kevin Rosario. Kevin's looking to make up a bit more time here. Manders also in silver here, so these guys are fighting for class position and points as a result. So let's see how long this battle can hold on. 10.5 minutes remain. I'm honestly, I don't know if like my perception of time has altered somehow overnight, but this race is going a lot quicker than I thought it would.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like we've been here for maybe 5 minutes, Reese, but I gotta say, Eric Powell getting me going again. Oh dear, he's like, let's go Quanders, clack, clack, clack. It's not even superly funny, it's just getting me because I'm just picturing him just sat there clapping and it makes me smile, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, let's have a look here. Brian's in and indeed, hang on a second, Brian's in and Chris Bassetti, ladies and gentlemen. As you see a little bit of a wiggle there from Zin. Zin is key, ladies and gentlemen, but Bassetti has indeed been able to hold on to the defensive weapon himself. Maybe if he played for the Leafs, he might actually be able to win a cup, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, Bassetti really holding on that defense.
Yeah, this is that the exit onto the oval is one of the most crucial places on the entire lap around here. And with the amount of power that these GT3 cars have, somewhere in the vicinity of 500 to 600 horsepower, it's very easy to break traction because you have to steer and accelerate at the same time out of that slow entry to the oval. Well, it looks like, surprise.
Yeah,
that's going to be the slipstream picked up here for Brian Zinn. Fortunately, he may have missed out on the way out of the infield, but he'll try and get it back here from Bassetti into turn one. Almost gets onto the grass on the way into turn one, and will stick tight to the inside on the way through. It's very easy to wash out and understeer and allow your rival through on the inside on exit. They are making tracks on Kerry Corcoran as we speak. Corcoran's last lap. Oh, problem.
Robert Bison Jr.
Yep, and that's going to be Wilford and Veldra swapping places coming onto the oval once again. Veldra is going to really bring everything he can to this fight. Remember, he and Wilford were battling hard in the latter stages of last season. We haven't seen as much of Artis Veldra as we'd ideally like this season, but he's certainly gotten straight back on form. Oh, straight back onto the curbs at the chicane, more like. He is going to lose touch with Wilford.
Yeah, he's going to be serving a slowdown for that as well. But I've got to say, Artis, that was... I mean, you had a wing, my friend, but it was not for the way it was designed. Entertaining, I'll give you that, but definitely not the line he was looking for. That BMW almost looking like it's crying slightly with the result of that incident.
Yes, indeed. Well, looks like Veldra will spend a few laps trying to build that momentum back up again. Morgan Smith now up to 18th overall, and looking at the back of Michael Pacheco. Pacheco, we've seen come a cropper at the curbs here before. It looks like they'll both get through cleanly. Bassetti and Zinn still fighting over 11th as well. Plenty of battles still to work out here.
Yeah, it looks like, Zinn made his way by and Bassetti's just said, no, thank you, I'll take that back. So I have a feeling we're getting a I pass, you pass. So you've seen this happen literally just a lap ago where Zinn made his way up on the inside. So I have to wonder, where is Bassetti getting it back? I'm guessing on the bank section heading to the bus stop, but fair play to him. Can he keep getting it done? I mean, it's... maybe these cars having different strengths in different areas, but right now, Zinn's just got to get his foot down and get away, and indeed he has. He's just pulled away 0.5 of a second in one corner. Uh-oh.
Very easy to gain time at Daytona, very easy to lose it as well. It looks like Michael Clark has had an issue here. This is in turn one, hard on the brakes, trying to get it to the apex, trying to get out of the corner as best he can, but there was a micro slide at the apex that just ballooned into a spin on the exit, and now there's damage to the rear of his Lambo. Jason Hatcher, meanwhile, collecting one of the anti-cut turtles there, actually more. On the exit, so that's probably one of the most back-breaking runs through that chicane I've ever seen. Hopefully he's able to recover something from that.
Yeah, but certainly, speaking of recovery, this gentleman here has been on that for the majority of this race. Ladies and gentlemen, Dalton Oxborough, he came in, he was joint first, but not just himself, but with teammate, what's his name? Got Joshua Wilford, and indeed I think it was Doc Sorrentino as well, all fighting for the top place there. But it looks like Chris Crone's now getting into it further up front. We have another battle emerging, ladies and gentlemen. Well, at least it was. Interesting.
Looks like things have calmed down a little bit there in the battle for the top five in the overall places. Emrit Vestrala, it seems, falling far behind, and now lapped car in between himself and Chris Krohn. What's happened here?
Oh my gosh.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh wow. Okay. So
that's going to get reviewed.
A little bit of miscommunication through the tri-oval. That has granted Chris Krohn a freebie. He didn't do anything wrong there. It was just contact up high. And wow, what a recovery from Vestrala. Robert Bison, the one getting spun around there.
Yeah, that was definitely an incident that I do not want to have to review, ladies and gentlemen. But Chris Krohn able to emerge victorious. 2 seconds behind Emrit Vestrala, albeit probably a little bit shaken up after that. Does indeed manage to keep going. But let's return here to Dalton Oxborough. He's currently trying to find his way back into P13.
Yeah, not an ideal run for Dalton Oxborough here. He had great pace in qualifying, wasn't able to keep the pace up in the race, and having a few problems on his way here. Hopefully he'll be able to gain a few more positions as time goes on. Emrit Vestrala, it seems, with a slowdown, might end up giving 6th overall to Matt Hollinger as Dalton Oxborough catches up here to Kevin Rosario. That is full position. 13th and 14th place as it stands with 4 minutes to go, seeing on my timing 2.8 laps remaining for Doug Sorrentino, who is now 3 seconds ahead of Miguel Colon for the lead of the race. Doesn't look like anyone's going to catch Doug Sorrentino at the moment unless he has a run-in with a lapped car.
Yeah, certainly the lap traffic can indeed make things interesting or indeed chaotic here. As you do see a little bit of, albeit beautiful, lap traffic right behind him. That Rexy-inspired livery. Miguel Colon is going to have to try and make his way past him next in line. Fair play, Wilford, though, 2.2 seconds behind as well. Not what he had in mind. But Dalton Oxborough, the teammate there of Joshua Wilford, finally makes his way past Kevin Rosario. Looks like he went a little bit wide there, but pretty much door was open. Now Quinn Manders is going to be looking to have a bit of a shot there. But Brent Souza now... Brent Souza looks like he's going at it with Morgan Smith, and I have a feeling I've actually raced Brent Souza before.
Yes, well, Souza has certainly been present for this championship for pretty much every round that we broadcast here, but Morgan Smith is going to get his nose in there once again. Michael Pacheco right behind them, and Souza is forced wide through the second horseshoe.
Oh.
Pacheco stands to gain advantage here. Got to keep an eye out for Dustin Warren behind as well. It would appear that he is catching up to these guys thanks to this side-by-side. And Pacheco will have to yield to Brent Souza there. Dustin Warren is licking his lips. All it takes is a bit of side-by-side, and you're right with him.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to have a perfect camera car here because something is about to go down. McLaren versus BMW. Yep, you can see it here. Ladies and gentlemen, they're going to go too wide through the bus stop. Nothing's better on it. That's a little bit too close. I actually just flinched in my chair, ladies and gentlemen. That's indeed. That looked... Oh, he got a bit of air there, but that looks like Michael Pacheco get a little bit of a encouragement there from the Porsche of Dustin Warren, who has indeed recovered to P2 in bronze. Better say Jack Minter, he's up in P8 overall. It's not the result Warren was looking for. He had such great pace today at the start, but fair play to him, he's still P2 in class.
That he is. So, working out okay for the moment for Dustin Warren, but as things stand, Jack Minter is going to have a huge points haul from this one, finishing many positions ahead of the rest of the bronze drivers. Well, we're coming up to the last couple of laps here, and so the pressure will be on here for Brent Souza as Pacheco tries to get on the power early out of the hairpin, but not going to work in the short term there. I find it's often better to just wait a little longer to get on the power there. Otherwise, you end up losing out on the straight line section to come. Smith a bit wide on the way in to the horseshoe there, but he's going to trade it for a late apex and a good run out of the corner. McLaren versus BMW as Pacheco has another look at Brent Souza. And I think that might have pressured Souza into a bit of a wide moment, but Pacheco makes a mistake himself. Too much power, rear end sliding around.
It does look like Kevin.
Oxborough, meanwhile.
well, my apologies, Reese. It does look like Kevin Rosario is indeed looking to fight back. That is the thing with Daytona, ladies and gentlemen. You might get a position, but for how long? You see Rosario getting an absolutely fantastic exit from there. He's got the draft, he's got the power, he's got somebody cheering for him just because he's driving a Mustang, ladies and gentlemen. Send it here in the chat, and that is indeed exactly what he's going to do. The Puerto Rican driver doing exactly that. He's right up under the kamikaze wing, but can he find the pace? You know what? He's not going for it. He's going for the snowplow maneuver, ladies and gentlemen. Bump draft in Oxborough. They're going to try and catch Bracetti, who is about 1.7 seconds ahead.
Final lap for these guys has just started. Doug Sorrentino is halfway around his final lap. I think that was a very smart decision there from Rosario. He was able to leave his opportunity for the final lap. If he had passed Oxborough there, then Oxborough would have just fought back and passed him on the final lap. We'll have to keep a close eye on that battle to come and see if Quinn Mandis can get involved in it. But I think we should give our potential victor his dues. I think things are going to get a bit interesting for the lead, though, because Doug Sorrentino looks slow. He ended up getting caught a lot by Miguel Colon on the run up to the bus stop there. Looks like he's just managed to hold off the gap, though. And I think that's going to be it there for Doug Sorrentino. After many rounds of trying, he is going to take his first win of the season here at Daytona. A beautiful drive. And that will be domination for him. Miguel Colon finishing a strong second place, and Joshua Wilford ending up getting a gap over Artis Veldra. Reed Lincoln, meanwhile, catching up to Jack Minter. And is there going to be a drag race to the line? It looks like it's side draft in effect here for Jack Minter. And it's a drag race to the line for 8th position overall. Minter, half a car length ahead of the line, will get it over Lincoln. And Brian Zinn finishing in 11th place in the end. It looks like Kevin Rosario is trying to get the gain on Dalton Oxborough, but it wasn't enough.
Well, certainly some interesting battles happening throughout. It looks like Cody Haggard has indeed got another driver 7/10 behind him. Is Andrew Grove there, who not only that has the pressure of Darwin Hanson behind. And we're going to see Darwin able to get a fantastic enough exit that he can get it done on this final corner, and indeed the final straightaway. You can see there the draft very much in effect. The gap now, it was 4 temps down to 3 temps. Ladies and gentlemen, are we going to see it come any closer? I don't think so, because Garove is getting a draft of Cody Haggard ahead of him, and I think that's going to be the saving grace as they're going to be there, bringing it across the line.
Max speed across the start-finish line here at Daytona. And that would appear to be the last of our battles decided there, with Darwin Hanson down 4 places from where he started. He won't be too happy with how that's gone for him, but he had a red-hot go of it in those final laps. Some big opportunities for drivers in the midfield. Smith in the 29 gaining 21 places in the end, it seems, with Brent Souza gaining 19. So yeah, there's a whole cluster of cars there that have managed to gain some big spots. But tell you what, Miguel Colon having a good run of things here, coming from the win last week and finishing second at Daytona. I don't think he'll be too mad about that.
Yeah, there's definitely a few drivers who are going to be very, very happy. Just having a quick look down the list, despite the incident, Michael Clark still managed to gain 14 positions. Fair play to him. Are you saying Morgan Smith did pretty good as well? Let me just try and find him here. Tells me he gained 9.
Oh, okay. Well, that's my timing on the fritz again. My apologies for that one.
Sorry, Reese. What a racer.
All good. Yeah, fantastic race. That was classic Daytona GT3 action right there. And with that, we can go through our results. Well, Doug Sorrentino, all credit to him, a fantastic drive to victory. Started from second place and managed to take advantage of Daytona being Daytona. Miguel Colon and Joshua Wilford round out your podium there. And crucially for Wilford, he ends up regaining a clear championship lead there with Artis Veldra finishing behind him. Chris Krohn rounding out the top 5. A very strong drive from him. Matt Hollinger winning in silver. Excellent job from him. finishing ahead of Amrit Vestrala and our bronze winner, Jack Minter. Just look at the gulf between Minter and Warren there for first and second in bronze. Reed Lincoln and Kerry Corcoran rounding out the top 10.
As we have a look there at P11, Brian's in, able to recover back to that, but definitely not the race he was looking for, with Chris Passetti there in 12th. Those two guys having a fantastic fight throughout the race. Dalton Oxborough there in 13th with Kevin Rosario. Both of them guys scrapping in 14th, with Quinn Manders very closely behind. Or Quenders, as Eric Powell is going to have to send me a check for or pay for. Morgan Smith takes 16th with a surprise visit from him today, with Brent Stewsman 17th, Dustin Warren in 18th, with Michael Pacheco in 19th, and indeed Tommy Polte in 20th.
In 21st place, Jason Hatcher, with Philip Crane and Cody Haygood a few seconds further behind him. It was a very close gap between Haygood, Garov, and Hansen there. Scott Laurenti another few seconds behind. Michael Clark, Pierce Fox, Joshua Travis, and CJ Conklin rounding out your top 30. Travis and Conklin, the first cars a lap down. They are joined by Sean Phillips, Richard Pettit, Simon Cartier, Cairo Enns. Big missed opportunity there for Cairo, unfortunately. Stephen Lauder joining them. And first car 2 laps down, Callan Christian, with Chris Scheusler, Robert Bison Jr., Drew Martin, and James Matney all having some big issues there, as well as Jamil Gummer, who was one of the first to really have an appointment with those curbs at the bus stop chicane. Few drivers will be looking forward to putting Daytona behind them, but one driver who will be very happy with how things have gone is Doug Sorrentino. It's taken you a few rounds here, Doug, but qualifying on the front row and coming away with the win here at Daytona, you must be very happy with that points haul.
You know what, dude? I'll take a win. A win's a win. I had quite a lot of strategy change each race, it seems like, and today I was like, let's just stay with the pack. Let's bump draft, let's get some fuel saving, and let's see what happens. And the RNG paid out today, so it's very exciting.
Yeah, certainly is. Daytona is a track that has a lot of foibles to it, but it would seem that in those late stages, Miguel Colon was unable to keep up with you. I did notice the gap narrow a bit on the final lap, though. Did something happen there that we missed?
Yeah, there was a little bit of I think it was maybe 3 laps to go. There was a little incident. An Aston Martin recently spun out going up onto the bankment. I'm trying to go around a lap car, and he came up into me, and I hit the wall. So I got some wheel damage on the last 2 laps there. But thankfully I built up that lead. I was watching it, brother. I was watching it. It was going from 3.2 down to 1.5, and he finished with 1.0 in front of me, or behind me, excuse me. So it was a good lead to have.
Well, finally taking a win here to kick off the second half of the season. We go to VIR next week, Doug. How do you think you're going to go there?
Ideally, I'll lap around the track. Hopefully a few less 4Xs, ideally. I can definitely control those a bit more. But, we're going to just keep moving and grooving. It's going to be a less fuel saving, obviously, so I'm really going to have to make sure I hit those turns and not miss them like horseshoe.
Absolutely. It's going to be a tough one for sure, but we wish you the best of luck for it. And congratulations on your victory, Doug. We'll hopefully be talking to you again in 7 days' time.
Oh, I'll get a seat warm for me. I'll be back. A few cheers, guys.
Excellent stuff. Doug Sorrentino in the Barbie machine on top here at Daytona. Zippy, I understand you've had a chance to catch up with Reed Lincoln, who finished second in silver.
Yeah, I don't know why I had CJ up there for just a second. CJ, I'm sorry, buddy. You just got to start in a little extra bonus feature. But Reed, I got to say, it's definitely been a bit of an up and down series for you so far, but able to get P2 in silver today. Looks like you got into a couple of battles. Tell us a little bit about your perspective here at Daytona.
Yeah, no, happy race. One little incident coming into chicane, kind of just put myself on a bad line. Can't really say anything other than that. But other than that, kind of clean and consistent. It's always kind of the goal. Definitely a shout out to Hollinger and the P1 for silver. The kid crushed it. But yeah, fun race.
Well, we're going to be heading over to VIR for the next round, Reed. Do you think you can repeat that success that you've had here over in Virginia?
Man, that's what we're hoping for. As long as I can just kind of put the head down, keep it consistent and clean, I think we'll see what happens. But we're hoping for the best.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, one of your silver championship contenders, Mr. Reed Lincoln, courtesy of the United States, rocking that beautiful AMG for Oasis Sim Racing, ladies and gentlemen. Reed Lincoln, ladies and gentlemen, driver, the number 16.
Thanks, guys.
Great stuff from Reed Lincoln. And next up, we got Tommy Polte, who finishes on the podium in bronze. It's looking like a pretty good haul of points for you, Tommy, after continuing to be up the top in the bronze standings. You had certainly had a fun race there.
Yeah, that was a good time. I avoided carnage early, like we always talk about. And I was a little bit worried about turn one, but I didn't really see exactly what happened. So, yeah, I was just trying to stay consistent and, getting out of the way of the faster guys and, worked out.
Yes, indeed. Only 2 positions gained, but the numbers don't tell the full story. The pit cycle was incredibly important around here.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. I got in and out quick. I didn't hit any traffic, really. There was a little traffic right when I was coming out, but they spun out. I don't know what happened, and then I think it was a McLaren. I kind of let him go. He was a silver driver, so just here you got to keep it clean. You know how it goes, and just try to be respectful of the faster guys. And I'd rather drive behind them anyways because it makes me a little bit faster trying to follow them.
Yeah, certainly. Well, regardless, solid result for you once again. You'll probably maintain that top 3 in bronze. VIR is going to make things ever more difficult. It's quite a difficult circuit. Have you started your preparations for that round yet?
I have not yet. I can say I'm much better here than I am there. So I'm definitely going to need to practice, but looking forward to it. And yeah, just keep pushing this Porsche around track.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, Tommy, on a very consistent finish, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Tommy Polte there, and Zippy, I understand Dustin Warren is the next driver we're going to talk to.
Well, Dustin, I got to say, you were absolutely on fire in qualifying, so it was great to see you doing exactly what you can do in that car. But tell us a little bit about what happened. I mean, it was going so well for you. Daytona seemed to be your chosen princess-approved track here. What happened that dropped you back down and ended up making you finish in P18 rather than P8?
It was lap 1 going into about 3 or 4 there, which, lap 1's always hectic at Daytona. Obviously, you got one that you got to watch out for, but after you go through that little chicane, then coming back with that right-hander, it's always pretty tricky, especially on cold tires, but just had to slow down a little bit more, but had some cars dive bomb down to the inside, kind of got into me a little bit, and then, I don't know, just kind of lost it. I couldn't save it. So it's unfortunate, but luckily was able to get the car back around. Luckily we have quick repair on, so was able to get the car repaired, go ahead and fuel up, and then not exactly the pit strategy I wanted, but starting lap 1, there we go, and we just got a long drive after that, but was just happy to get back up in a presentable place, at least at the end.
Well, certainly the curbs here did catch out a few people, certainly going through the bus stop. And the Porsche, I've always found myself, I've always struggled with it, getting a little bit of over-rotation here. Did you find that as the fuel load got a little bit lighter, the car became a little bit more difficult to keep in a straight line?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And you hit the nail on the head right there. Actually, I think that I would have probably finished a few spots higher if it weren't for me about losing the rear coming through that exact chicane. Had to just back out of it and, not lose the car at that point.
Well, fair play as well. Certainly, it's good to have you here in the commentary book and in the commentary box. And great to get some good points as well. P2 in bronze, ladies and gentlemen, for Dustin Warren. Fair play to you, but we are indeed going to wish you the best of luck for next week. I'd like to be talking to you again, hopefully with a top 10 result. Ladies and gentlemen, driver of the number 44, great number by the way, Mr. Dustin Warren.
Thank you.
Oh. I didn't mean to cut him off just there, but ladies and gentlemen, our final guest of the evening, we are indeed going to bring in the man, the legend, Mr. CJ Conklin. Now, CJ, you were very briefly on the stream there, just trying to get the video camera set up just so we could see Tommy there. But CJ, you got to admit, Let's have a quick look here. You got P8 in bronze, P30 overall. Definitely not your favorite track, but you know what? This is a beautiful thing about being the league organizer and indeed an employee now at Podium 1. We did give you a shout out, congratulations earlier, and I did give you a little bit of a roast for that beautiful t-shirt, which I am absolutely going to steal from you. There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
The man is already repping. He's been there a couple of days and he is already repping the merch. Fair play to him. But CJ, what do we have to look forward to here in the in this series, or indeed for next season as well? And indeed yourself, tell us a little bit about what it's like to work at Podium 1.
Well, as you know, I just starting out. It's crazy. I can't believe all these people. There's going to be a lot of racers. We just keep pumping out sims every day. It's awesome. I get to play with all the new stuff, get to test new stuff. Like this week, I'm testing the new Pimax VR ultra wide. It's been a lot of fun and learning all that. It's amazing. It's a dream job. I get to play with all the kind of stuff, and then I get to race with people. It's awesome.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to quit as a broadcaster and go work with CJ. So next week's show, we'll figure it out. I love what I do, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, that is one of the biggest things. If you love what you do, are you really working? But CJ, I got to admit, I'm jealous. I know you're a skilled musician as well, and indeed, I think you're pretty handy with a camera. So maybe we'll see some CJ Conklin reviews in the future. Certainly, I wouldn't mind having something to play out at the end of the stream, just to really drop you in it at this point. You're welcome, buddy.
That'd be awesome. Thank you, guys. You guys rock.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. CJ Conklin. Now, I know this is what come up next is not his favorite part of the show. It's incident review. And certainly, I think you're going to have one on the start finish straight that you're going to have fun reviewing. Certainly a full car massacre at one point.
I called one out. I was in the back starting, and I saw someone jump the line and pass, and I called it out. So he did do his drive-through. I said, you got to do that drive-through. You can't pass before the start. So pretty good. Yeah, I have to do a lot of reviews. There was a lot of incidents, which I don't understand. It's a big track, but everybody was trying to get up front.
Well, that is indeed the thing with racing, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody's a bit keen, and myself, I'm a little bit too keen, but we are indeed going to leave you to it, CJ, as I am going to bring this show to a close. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been tuning in here. Reese, the Southport Racer Gardner, which will lead commentate tonight, and then myself, Daniel Zippy Salmon, doing the production and a little bit of the controls as well. I've got to say, it's been an absolute pleasure having the Podium 1 GT3 Fixed Series here on Pit Road Productions. I look forward to seeing them for many, many future events. Indeed, and indeed, CJ, a huge shout out to yourself for making the effort and putting in the time to organize all of this as well. Couldn't do it without you. Couldn't do it without the people at home as well, and indeed the drivers. I gotta say, the chat has been absolutely rampant today. Eric Powell wanted to come in and just commentate on Quinn Manders, or indeed Quanders as he's affectionately dubbed him. Quinn Manders' father watching as well. I'm loving it. We're getting the whole family tree in here. Jake Enns, he's watching on behalf of Cairo. We got to get the supporters out here, guys. If you guys blow up my chat to the point I can't read it, I am not going to complain. I'm going to do nothing but encourage you. And certainly I think CJ would enjoy seeing that as well. But ladies and gentlemen, that does indeed bring it to a close for this evening. We're going to see you again at the same time next week. But my name is Daniel Zippy Salmon, and thank you for watching here on Pit Road Productions.